Hi and welcome to the online classroom rerun from the 27th of October. As you know, that one didn't go too well in the recording department. We'll ignore these couple of slides here about online and looking at assessment item 3. This is focused on a case study, as you know, and there's a couple of sets of slides attached under assessment and under resources for assessment item 3. That is an approach to using case studies in this unit and the unit review of 12 topics. So these are a set of slides that have been addressed elsewhere, but I brought them both under now the resources for assessment item 3 so that they're all together. The idea of assessment item 3 is that it consolidates and helps you to apply the learning over the semester. So, as you know, modules 1 and 2 have been really addressed in assessment items 1 and 2, and now we are also including module 3 topics, which are much more organisationally focused and therefore suitable for your case study assessment. So those topics are workplace learning and knowledge management, leadership and management development, talent and career management, cross-cultural HRD and HRD and diversity, and the future of HRD. So all of those topics are potentially relevant. As you know, leadership is already included specifically in question 2, but some of these other topics you may find particularly relevant for this answer. So there's no need to include them all, but really have a look and think about them and see how relevant and important they are to include. So the idea with case studies is to put yourself in the role of a HRD professional and to highlight links between HRD theory and practice in an organisational context. So in assessment item 3, we've got Harrods, and that's our context. So assessment item 3 gives you the opportunity to be analytical and insightful and to use the literature. So obviously you need to read the Harrods case carefully and answer the 4 questions that are written in the unit outline, not the ones in the case. Please address each question and please include references that assist with your analysis. So high quality references, recent references are obviously going to give you a better quality result. Recent references to high quality articles. So that's, if you're really wanting to do well, make sure that you do access that sort of material. I've had quite a bit of people using quite old references, and with your access to the internet now, you can easily get onto Google Scholar and type in the area of interest of yours, and you can get up any number of articles that will be on your topic. But of course I've included articles throughout the course outline as well that are relevant. Now, what we did from this point is go on to talk about the questions that students raised. I'm going to go through those questions now that were raised and give you those answers that we discussed at the time. So, firstly, there was a question about questions 1, 2, 3 and 4. With regard to question 4, the question was, do we have to include references there, or would we just consider that we'd already analysed our response in questions 2 and 3, and therefore we wouldn't reintroduce references in question 4? That's fine, that's appropriate. So if you feel like it's sufficiently addressed above, yes, you can just give your recommendations in question 4. I would encourage you to use sentences rather than point form. Question 1, some more details on that were asked. With this, make sure you go into those 2 templates that are given in the assessment guide. One is SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, and that's explained when you go into that link. Be very clear which are internal and which are external to the organisation. So just make sure you're clear on that, and you can just write dot points in those tables. That's not meant to be an essay style. In the PEST, that's includes some external, a lot external, in terms of political type of analysis as well, economic, that sort of thing. So you're not expected in-depth knowledge about the English economy. You don't expect to know that, but there are things that you know. There's things that you know about the retail environment, and it's the same in Australia, the competition from online, etc. You know that this is a very important tourism draw card for England, and as well very important to the local people, and it provides an experience, a shopping experience. You know, this store is for people who really want to go in and receive attention, that sort of thing. You know a bit about what's happened with the Brexit vote, that England is perhaps going through some very changing times, or at least some very uncertain times. So you could mention that in part of your dot points for the PEST. So just showing that you're aware generally of what's happening in the social context, technological sphere, economic and political sphere. And there are examples given there, so be guided by those. Okay, so another question was, do we require broad or narrow responses? So again, that's up to you. You may wish to really focus on a couple of areas. You might think, okay, leadership's really important, as is something that you've read about the future, as is a couple of other things, and you can just bring them together in quite a deep and succinct ways. Others of you will write more broadly, but however you write, make sure you've got references, preferably recent articles that you've read to back up what you're saying, and you're providing a good argument about why you're writing what you are. So it's really not that you will get it right or wrong, it's how well are you analysing this case using the literature. So that is important for you to think about that. Each response is an individual response. So there's another question around whether you can link across questions. You can do this. You could say, so if you're in question 3, you could say, further to my leadership response above, I'm now going to elaborate on something or other else, or the strengths and weaknesses of this are, you know, and you can bring in what you've written about in question 2. So they were the main points. Make sure you have a good reference list, that it's that all your APA referencing both in text and in the reference list is right. That you answer each question, that you use up-to-date relevant references, and they were really the main points that we talked about. Thank you. If you do have any other questions, please put them on the discussion board, and I'll answer them there. So best wishes in the future, assessment item, and in the future more generally. Thanks so much.